Hello, my name is Mark White and I'm the Executive Director of the New Mexico Museum of Art. Welcome to this video series exploring the relationship between the museum's collection and the National Academy of Design, held in conjunction with the exhibit For America, Paintings from the National Academy of Design. In 1825, a group of enterprising American artists founded the National Academy of Design. Their hope was not only to provide a school for the education of future American artists, but also to promote exhibition opportunities for artists working in the United States. Over the next century, as the Academy's reputation grew, success of an artist's reputation often hinged on their membership in the National Academy of Design. In the series of videos you will see now, staff from the New Mexico Museum of Art will offer their own insights and interpretations on works from our collection and their relationship to the National Academy of Design.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Aubin, and I'm the Head of Education here at the New Mexico Museum of Art. And this is?
Hi, I'm Chris Neal, one of the educators here.
And we're here down in the collection at the museum, and we're here to talk about ways to approach portraits. Specifically, this portrait, which is a portrait of Dieguito Roybal, San Ildefonso Pueblo, painted by Robert Henry in 1916, and given to the museum that same year, and it was actually on view during our first exhibition in 1917. So Chris, let's talk about this. Do you think that Roybal was posed for this portrait?
Well, I don't know for sure if this was something that Henry might have chosen, but Roybal's body language seems kind of relaxed. It seems like a pose that, didn't feel unfamiliar to him. So whether or not Henry specifically posed him or not, I'm not sure, but it doesn't feel staged, it doesn't feel unnatural. So while it is a pose, it doesn't feel like something that's manufactured or, outside of what might be his normal experience.
Okay, and what about looking at his eyes? Do you think that the facial expression, do you think Roybal and Henry knew each other?
Well, I would, if I had to wager a guess, I would say that they were at least familiar with each other. Whether or not they were best friends, acquaintances, not quite sure. But again, it's Roybal's his posture, that pose, the fact that he's a little bit relaxed, and the fact that he was able to sit for such a large portrait, to me suggests maybe there was at least some familiarity, because for me there's really no tension in this. Not sure if it's close friendship, but at least not strangers.
So, you've seen this on your phone and you've seen it on your computer, but now that we're in person, what do you think about the size, and how does that change the perception of how you would read this painting?
It's a really good question. It's a great reason for people to actually go into a gallery, go into a museum, and see original works of art instead of just experiencing them virtually or online. But the size, the fact that Roybal is more or less life-size, it sounds a little cliche to say that it feels like he could walk off the painting, but to a degree it really does. Plus the fact that the work is so large, it's not a smaller work. It feels like it has a little bit more importance to it. In some ways, for me, this makes Roybal seem like somebody that, is somebody that I could go into a history book and read about. Somebody who had a degree of importance or prominence within the community at that point. So the size and the scale of this does actually change the way that you read it.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for talking today, Chris.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. If you want to learn a little bit more about what's going on at the museum, feel free to look us up at nmartmuseum.org. Or if you're curious about more things here in the collection, check out our searchable art museum at sam.nmartmuseum.org. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Aubin, Head of Education here at the New Mexico Museum of Art, and this is?
Hi, I'm Chris Neal, one of the educators here at the museum.
And we're here today to talk about ways to approach a portrait. Specifically, this work, which is Untitled, painted by Ernest Blumenschein in 1917.
One of the things that can really help you in terms of learning about a work of art is if you know a little bit about the artist and the history of the work. But you don't always know those things. So what we'd like to do today is take a look at this work and also walk you through some of the ways that you can learn about an artwork, have a more enriching experience, even if you don't necessarily know anything about the artist's background or anything about the particular piece. We are kind of lucky today, though, because, Rebecca, you know a little bit about Blumenschein and about Helen, the subject of this portrait.
Yeah, so I do know a little bit. I know that Ernest Blumenschein was one of the founding members of the Italian Society of Artists, and this is a portrait of his daughter, Helen. She's aged probably 7 or 8 years old, and this is before she moves to Taos with her mother, Mary Green Blumenschein, and her father, Ernest, both artists.
That's some great information for us to have. So one of the things that jumps out at me first with this work is the pose, the posture that Helen has in this. What does that make you think of, and what would you kind of glean from that?
Well, I can tell she's feeling a little bit angry. The way her hands are locked, her legs are split apart, and she's in a corner. And I don't know if she was told to go to the corner, but the look upon her face looks like she might have been, because she's very pouty. Not super happy about the situation she's in.
It's a great interpretation. I imagine there's a few parents who might be familiar with that particular pose. Another thing that is a big element here is what she's wearing. So what sort of clues do you see just from taking a close observation of the clothing that she's wearing?
Well, you know, the time of the painting is 1917. World War I is happening, and she's in military clothes. And we can tell that not only by the color of the army green, but also because of the chevron on the side of her shoulder, the name tag, possibly a little medal on the side, and then the lapels on top. And, you know, it doesn't quite fit her. The sleeves are a little bit large, but the rest of it does seem like it fits. Why she's in a military costume in the corner is kind of beyond me.
There's some great details and clues there that we can use to create our own story about what might be going on in this artwork. So next time that you find yourself in a museum or a gallery and maybe an artist or an artwork is really fresh to you, there's plenty that you can do to try to dive into it and have a more enriching experience with that work of art. If you're curious about more things that are going on here at the Art Museum, feel free to visit our website at nmartmuseum.org, or if you're curious about more things going on here in collections specifically, check out the Searchable Art Museum at sam.nmartmuseum.org. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, my name is Sam Rykels. I'm a head preparator at the New Mexico Museum of Art, and today I'm going to talk about the portrait of Gerald Marr. The portrait was actually a prize for the Billy the Kid Rodeo for the youth division. The prize was a portrait by Peter Hurd and a trip to New York City and Washington, D.C. Gerald actually would have preferred the second prize, which was actually a saddle. The background is of Peter's ranch, the Sentinel Ranch in San Patricio, and it's in the Hondo Valley in Lincoln County. Probably he's wearing a hat that would be considered a dress hat, and the shirt was made by his mother. And this painting was such a popular painting that Peter actually repainted the painting. Some people call it a copy, but it wasn't actually a copy. It was a full sitting and a repainting of the painting. Peter Hurd was actually born in Roswell and went to the New Mexico Military Institute in Roswell, and then went to West Point. But when he was at West Point, he determined that really what his life was going to be about was painting, and that he wanted to do that instead. So he went to the Philadelphia Academy of Fine Arts and graduated from there, and then became a personal student of N.C. Wyeth. And Wyeth had two other students, his son Andrew and his daughter Harriet. In 1929, Peter and Harriet were married, and in the 1930s they moved back to New Mexico and bought the Sentinel Ranch. Originally it was 40 acres, and by the time Peter died, it was about 2,000 acres. And the background in a lot of Peter's paintings is the Sentinel Ranch. He was well known for his portraits, and he painted a lot of landscapes, a lot of Hondo Valley landscapes. One of the things that he said about painting subjects is he preferred people who were affected by the sun and by the wind, which of course is an omnipresent New Mexico phenomenon. So he painted his ranch hands, he painted people who lived on adjoining ranches, and a lot of the people, and it's very clear from looking at a Peter Hurd painting that he loved New Mexico and had a very deep knowledge of it. And so I think Peter Hurd is one of the treasures of New Mexico painting. He really tried to capture the subject and the intensity and the spirit of the West. And I understand that Gerald Marr's son is still in the rodeo business. So it's a continuum for both the painting and for the Marr family.
Hello, my name is Charlene Carroll, and I am the event manager here at the New Mexico Museum of Art. And let's talk art. As we continue to commemorate the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage, we are going to learn about two women who are inspiring role models. They lived in two different eras, yet were connected by the power to believe in a better life for all human beings. Next, we're going to learn how to read a work of art and find out what this portrait is all about. I'm going to share some facts with you, but just a few, because my goal is to inspire you to come visit the museum. And if you can't, find out more online by visiting our website. This is a portrait of a person. When you hear the word portrait, what image comes to mind? A selfie? The Mona Lisa? Portraiture has been a popular art form for centuries and continues to be today. Some artists know the person they are painting, the sitter. They capture the essence of a person's personality, or they capture people in time. Let's see what we can find out just by looking at this portrait. I'm not getting a sense of her personality. I can see that she is a woman of color and she's from a different century. I can tell that by the clothes she's wearing and the style of her hair. It's not a portrait nor a print. It looks like somebody used a photograph. It looks more like a print or a poster. I know, the artist took an old photograph and transferred it. The term used in the art world for this is appropriating an image. The image of the woman is layered on top of words. We are the slaves of slaves. We are exploited more ruthlessly than men. Wow, you can learn a lot just by looking. The title of this work is We Are the Slaves of Slaves, Lucy Parsons. It was created in 1980, 40 years ago, by the artist May Stevens. This piece is currently on view in our exhibit, Wordplay, which totally makes sense. Who was Lucy Parsons? Have you heard her name before? Sadly, I never heard her name or even heard of her before I saw this portrait by May Stevens. Lucy Parsons was born in Texas in 1853 during the Civil War. She was a child of an African-American slave, and she was a leading figure in American socialism, anarchism, and the radical labor movement. But few people today are aware of her courage, tenacity, and insights. Despite her fertile mind, writing, oratorical skills, and striking beauty, Lucy Parsons has not found a place in school texts, social studies curricula, or even a Hollywood movie. Yet she has earned a prominent place in the long fight for working people, women, and for people of color. May Stevens was a key figure in the feminist art movement of the 60s and 70s. She was an artist, mentor, teacher, and writer. She was known for her monumental paintings, which dealt with social and political issues. She used her personal experience and reaction to oppression and racism to inform her body of work, which spanned painting, collage, drawing, and prints. As you can see, May Stevens was inspired by a quote by Lucy Parsons from a poster on the Image of Labor series. We are the slaves of slaves. We are exploited more ruthlessly than men. Stevens tended to work in series. Her body of work divided into several periods, characterized by a particular theme or concern. She said that she starts with an idea, and I always have more to say about it. She lived a full life of creativity, passing away last year at the age of 95. The reason I am an artist, she once said, is because it's a place where I can be totally free. Thank you for watching.
Hi, my name is Michael Reyes, and I'm the Assistant Registrar here at the New Mexico Museum of Art. Today I'm going to be talking about John Quick-to-See Smith's series, Paper Dolls for a Post-Columbian World. The ones you see behind me is Barbie Plenty Horses and Maid's Uniform for Cleaning Houses of White People. Smith was born on the Confederated Salish Kootenai Reservation in Montana. She is a member of the Flathead Nation. Her Paper Dolls in a Post-Columbian World series is an integral part of understanding how Native Americans have adapted to a modernization of the world. What we see here is Barbie and Maid's Uniform, and it's her parroting America's obsession with pop culture and trying to intersect its ideal with these native cultures and their native ways. The parody that she shows in this series is a survival tactic of what she calls reservation humor. In this, it's very self-degrading and self-deprecating, but she says it's a way of them connecting with each other and understanding how modernization has affected their culture for the past 100 plus years. Having a closer look at the series, many people will find it less than humorous. What it really does depict is one of cultural and human genocide. One paper outfit that I find most striking is that of a ceremonial headdress that reads, "Flat headdress collected by whites to decorate homes." Smith addresses that these sacred objects were either stolen, confiscated, or destroyed by non-natives. She also addresses the post-colonial approach to the handling and use of these sacred objects. What was once seen as an important and sacred to Native people of the Americas has now become a tchotchke or mass-produced commodity to please and enforce a false idea of what being Native American is like. Popularized by mass media, the sacred headdress has now become a staple of roadside attractions, Halloween costumes, high fashion, and non-natives wearing them to music festivals. This allows viewers to acknowledge the shallowness of how we understand these Native people and to realize that they are not a commodity for our consuming use. Thank you for watching this video and getting to see John Quick to See Smith's prolific work.